All right, everyone, and welcome to Singularity University's Global Summit. We are here with Pablos Holman, hacker and inventor. Pablos, thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We had you on the show last year, Pablos, and we were talking about hurricanes. We were talking about new technologies. We're talking about people being scared of new technologies. And what is most interesting to me nowadays is the technology's impact and how it can solve a problem very fast. What are people not seeing coming right now?
Well, I think that, the main thing people aren't seeing coming is that, we're at a point in time where these advances are compounding on themselves, right? So, if you ever learned about compound interest, that's kind of what's happening with technology, right? So the fundamental technologies that we've had our whole lives, were largely for our generations, computers, and we've taken them a lot of places. But the truth is, we had all these technologies that we couldn't advance on because the computers were too slow and too expensive, and so that's what all the machine learning technologies are. And so we've had that, those ideas for a long time, but we couldn't practically apply them because we needed faster, bigger, cheaper computers. And now we have that. So now anybody could get access to supercomputers, just rent them by the minute from Amazon. And that's helping us because now we can use those technologies to go after every industry, every problem, everything that humans have done. We can go back and using machine learning, we can go back in all the related toolkit. We can go and figure out how to do things better. And it's really, that's really the exciting thing about technology is that sometimes you get a technology that's new. So, a new scientific discovery or just a new algorithm or a new chip or sensor or something. And you can use that to ask yourself, does this change anything humans have ever done? Can we do it better? Can we do it faster, cheaper, in a more humane fashion? And sometimes the answer is yes. And that's the amazing thing about technology is that we're constantly and increasingly getting yes as an answer. We can do better. And so, what I think a lot of people are missing is that this is like a renaissance. We're in like probably the most exciting time humans have ever had a chance to live. And we get to use these technologies to really create the future that we want. And a lot of people, I think, are scared of, what's happening. Being scared is sad because that's kind of you're like missing an opportunity. You don't have to be scared. You can get on board and help create the world that you want to leave to your kids, to your grandkids, to generations to come. And we're having a big effect on those things right now.
It just popped into my mind with you were talking about nuclear energy last year. That's
right.
What you were talking about, and being able to power different things. What's the new innovations around nuclear fission and nuclear technology and its effect on energy supply? Well,
the thing with energy is that we're at a point where people don't realize energy is the most fundamental thing. Like that, you and I are made of energy, and we live and die consuming energy. Americans get about 9 to 10 times as much energy as everybody else on Earth, right? I mean, there's some spectrum there. Europeans are around 4 or 5.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is if you are living in almost anywhere in Asia, sub-Saharan Africa, almost anywhere south of the equator, you get a little bit of energy. Some electricity, some fuel, that kind of thing. Americans use 10 times as much as almost everyone else on Earth.
Got it.
It's that makes us rich, right? That's why we could build industries, why we could build railroads, why we could build airplanes, why we could build everything. It's because we can spend more on energy per person. And so it's really important to fix that, right? In the long run, what we want to be able to do is give every human on Earth as much energy as you give an American. And I think we're kind of kidding ourselves with the potential behind a lot of efforts at conservation, right? You can get people to, cut back a little bit. Maybe you could get them. It's like the amount of energy you and I use is equivalent to about 11 toasters running full-time 24/7. That's how much. So if you go home, plug in 11 toasters, counting all the gas you use in your car and all the electricity to heat your house and that kind of stuff, it adds up to about 11 toasters per person. So if you get people to conserve, maybe it's like unplugging one of them, right? The real demand is for everybody on Earth to get 11 toasters. And the problem is right now, what we're doing to power 9 or 10 of those toasters is burning coal, burning gas, things that are polluting the environment, and we're living with the consequences of that. So the goal has to be not just to get Americans to reduce from 11 to 10 toasters, right? It's got to be to get the ability to make 10 or 11 toasters worth of energy carbon free. So anyway, all that's a long version of saying why nuclear energy matters. This is carbon free energy that scales. We can build nuclear reactors to make enough energy to get all 10 or 11 toasters powered with no carbon emissions.
For everyone?
For everyone on Earth. But we have to try and do that. And to do that, we probably need to build about a nuclear reactor every day forever.
Really?
Yeah, that's how big the problem is. But we're not trying, right? What we're doing is sticking our heads in the sand. We're imagining that we're going to make enough solar panels. We're imagining that we're going to invent some magical battery system for storing energy through the night. We're imagining we're going to deploy enough windmills to do it. It's not, those are great ideas and we should keep developing them, but we need to be honest about the scale of the problem, and the problem is much too big to solve with windmills and solar panels.
Right.
And so I think it's unfortunate a lot of times when when people latch onto a solution before doing the basic arithmetic to add up the scale of the problem.
And I almost feel like there's a narrative being pushed, obviously, and I'm a sucker for it too, because I grew up in the alternative energy is wind, solar. These are what is, and nuclear energy is what caused cancers in rivers and things like that. What are some of the misconceptions of nuclear energy?
Right.
And is it storage of alternative energies that's the difficult problem?
So first, energy storage, we need a miracle. Like we don't have one. We don't have a way of storing enough energy from solar panels to power Tokyo when it's cloudy, right? Or through the night. That's just not going to happen. And so we need a miracle in energy storage. And by miracle, I mean we have to invent some, as of yet, uninvented technology. And that could happen today or tomorrow, but it might not happen ever. So we can't pin our future on a miracle. So we have to do what works now. Fission works now. We already have nuclear reactors. We know they work. But what happened is it got politically unpopular after deploying the first generation of reactors in the U.S. And people got scared because of 3 Mile Island and certainly Chernobyl and things. People got really terrified of nuclear energy. And so we ended up regulating it into oblivion. So there's no way, for our entire lifetime, there's been no way to develop any new reactor technology in the U.S.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's right. Every reactor we have now was designed with a pencil and slide rules before we were born. That's right. And then we stopped trying. We can do better now. We have gargantuan supercomputers. We can model every neutron in the reactor core. We can understand what's going to happen before we build these things, and we can design modern, safe reactors. And we can also design more efficient reactors. And so what we did at Intellectual Ventures was we invented a new type of fission reactor that is powered by nuclear waste. So we just take the leftover uranium sitting in stockpiles and we use that as a fuel. in the reactor. And it's a modern, safe reactor design. It can't melt down like Chernobyl or something like that. And we're unable to build it in the U.S. because of regulation. And so the company is, working to find someplace in the world where they can build a test reactor.
Oh, it's outlawed everywhere?
Well, yeah, it's outlawed in a lot of places because of these treaties associated with nuclear, right? So the U.S. has decided that they're in charge of deciding who in the world is allowed to develop nuclear reactors or bombs, and they're basically classified the same way. And so there's not a lot of places where we could do it. Maybe Russia or China will let us do it.
Well, that'd be interesting. I've seen those stockpiles too. I've been driving down Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. They look like little tents almost.
Yes.
They're just full of, nuclear.
That's depleted uranium.
Okay.
The stuff is not actually that dangerous. That stuff can't explode or something, right?
That's what I thought as a little kid.
It is radioactive, and you don't want it contaminating your water supply and things like that.
Right.
But the truth is, and I wish I knew the numbers offhand, but in the entire history of the nuclear industry, there have been something like, hundreds of deaths. You stack that up against deaths associated with like installing solar panels or windmills, it's worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's actually a very safe industry. Even counting Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island, there weren't that many people who died because of the nuclear industry globally.
Interesting.
It's actually quite safe. And so, people have these kinds of misconceptions, and I think we need to work to clear that up. The nice thing is we don't argue with environmentalists so much anymore.
Right.
We used to, because they understand, this is carbon-free energy that scales. Probably we want that.
Right.
And they understand that, by fighting it, they actually made things a lot worse, because it just means, more coal, burn more coal, burn more oil. And that just means more carbon emissions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's make this transition to fashion. We just talked about energy being a solution, nuclear energy being a solution that reduce carbon emissions.
Yeah.
But fashion industry is the number 2 leading polluter for carbon emissions. Polyester made from oil itself.
Yeah.
What are some solutions for this, and what are you studying right now?
Right. So when I look at the apparel industry, they have this vicious cycle going. The companies are hooked on low-cost labor, so they manufacture in Asia, which means they have these long product cycles. 6, 7, 8, 9 months is normal. So then the stuff comes back on a boat, you put it on a shelf, and you hope you guessed right about what colors, what sizes, what designs, what volumes are going to sell. Nobody ever guesses right. So you end up with overstock. You liquidate that by trying to sell it at a discount shop or something, and then it goes to landfills or an incinerator.
Right.
And so they're experiencing brand devaluation. They're not getting good margins. They don't have any money to invest in innovation. They're hooked on low-cost labor. That's the vicious cycle. And every company in the apparel industry essentially is stuck in that cycle in one form or another. And nobody's in a position to really change things, because all they can do is push the guy below them to cut costs. The industry has not been adopting any technology for like 150 years, since the invention of the sewing machine. Right? They haven't installed Windows 95 yet. This is an industry that really is resistant to technology. And it turns out, the cost for humans is extraordinary. This industry is $2.4 trillion a year. We made 100 billion garments last year. And of that, a quarter of it's already in landfills. And of that, a third has tags on it still. Like, that's how bad it is. Even if that's 25 billion garments a year going in the trash. Even if they were $2 garments, you're looking at $50 billion in waste. Right. And with no hope of fixing it. And so every human on earth is a customer. I challenge you to find somebody who doesn't wear clothes at all. Like, there's just not a lot of people who don't participate. So you're really looking at an industry where there's a massive opportunity to re-architect change the way it works and solve those problems, right? And that's what I'm really excited about right now. So I built one company to test these ideas. We manufacture on demand. So we wait for you to click buy now. We make your clothes and send them out the next day. And that's working out really well. And so now I'm working on building a new company to expand on that.
So like direct to consumer.
Yeah,
so
it's direct to consumer. Exactly. And you get rid of all the guesswork.
Are you using like fair trade? Are you using
well, we manufacture
co-ops?
In the US.
Okay.
Because it's close to the customer and we want to be fast. We want to be able to make your clothes and get them to you within a couple of days, not a couple of weeks or months.
I just spoke with Vincent Stanley. He's one of the leading heads, one of the heads at Patagonia.
Oh yeah, cool.
So he was telling us they're trying to go 100% recyclable.
Yeah, right.
By the year 2025.
Yeah.
Is that obviously Patagonia? They're a premium company.
Yeah.
They can afford a higher cost.
I mean, it's a great company. They built the company the old-fashioned way, and then they, have managed to steer themselves into a position where they can try and do those things. It's not clear to me that that's the most important thing to do. They're still going to have the same problem. Like 25% of Patagonia's manufactured goods are going to end up in the trash within a year.
Yes.
Right. So even if that's recycled goods, I don't think it buys you that much, right? So in my mind, the first order problem to solve is waste. If we can reduce waste and we got some spare cycles, then you would go after trying to improve the inputs, like using recycled fibers and things. I think it is important. We need to try all those things. It's just that, in my mind, that's not really going to move the needle.
Okay. So are you suggesting that we need to get rid of retailers and B2B?
Yes.
Directly B2C?
And you can see it happening.
Okay.
Right? Retail's dying. Right? I mean, Barney's just filed for bankruptcy. Right? The last week. This is writing that's been on the wall for a very long time. Right? People are buying more and more and more of everything online, and the reason is because it's more convenient. But the truth is that gives us an opportunity to do things better. Like retail, as we know it, is the problem. Yeah.
So I guess just to play a little devil's advocate, the direct to consumer is great, right? So to reduce the idea of just throwing that out there and not having anyone buy it,
right?
The product, whatever it is. Sorry, I'm a little jumbled today.
It's okay.
But it still doesn't eliminate the fact that these are from polyester. These are from fossil fuels. These are not sustainable materials, and there's also they're manufactured in China and enslaved countries.
Right.
How do you suggest solving those issues?
Well, I think that in a short time horizon, what we're doing is manufacturing in the U.S. I mean, we pay American women to fair labor rates to sew. I mean, we pay more than anyone else on earth for sewing. You might get a seamstress for 50 cents to a few bucks a day in Bangladesh. I can't get a seamstress for less than $15 an hour. Right. So we're paying a lot more for labor. It works though because we don't have any retailers, we don't have any distributors, we have no middlemen, no customs, no shipping costs, any of those things. So we have better margins, and we can use it to spend it on better labor practices and better quality materials. And so we make a better product too.
Is that going to be difficult to compete with these companies who can sell a similar piece of clothing for a lower price at this point in time?
I can make a better product for a lower price than they can. Because I get better margins than they do, right? For making the exact same product, I make a lot more money than they do because I'm not paying all these folks in the middle. I'm not paying for a warehouse to store this stuff. I'm not paying for a lot of the things they are. So, and I never have any overstock. I never have any product to liquidate. I've never made anything for a landfill. And because of that, my brand never gets devalued the way their brands do. And the retailers are training their customers to wait for a sale, right? So it's hard for Patagonia or companies like that.
Pablos, I feel like you've also worked on projects in so many different industries.
Right.
What about the fashion industry intrigued you the most?
It's what I see. All all of my projects have a similar character, which is that I'm trying to use computers to do something new, right? I'm trying to take computers, which are this amazing superpower, and go and find the things that we can improve with them. And the apparel industry is just a wide open opportunity. It's what we call ripe for disruption, because it's been resistant to technology. It's been resistant to taking the steps to improve that technology is offering, right? And so, it's very hard for incumbent businesses to fix things, right? It's hard for industries to fix themselves. Innovation isn't what they're built for. Doing the same thing they did last year a little cheaper is what they're built for, right? And so what I'm trying to do is, really from the outside, show the industry a better model and say, look, here's how we can use these technologies to re-architect, change the way we make apparel for people and deliver that to people so that everything is better. It's a better product, a better price, it's a better materials, it's better for the environment, it's better for the labor, it's better for the customer, and it's better even for me, the brand.
Yeah, better for your stakeholders.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
And I think that's exactly what we try to exemplify here.
Cool. Yeah, good point.
Is, how do we maximize stakeholder value over shareholder value?
Yeah,
I think that's a really interesting topic.
Yeah,
discussion.
Well, cool. So my new company is called Composite, and this is probably the first time I've ever talked about it publicly.
Okay.
So
well, now you know.
Keep an eye out. Yeah.
Well, Pablos, appreciate your time.
Hey, my pleasure.
Reelers Live.
Yeah.
Any last words for our audience about where they can find more information?
No. Nowhere to find more information. This is all the information that you can find.
Don't find any information yet, people. All right. For Pablos Holman, I'm Kevin Edwards telling you all to always keep it real.